So today we're going to talk about Cloud Atlas, the 2012 film directed by the Wachowskis as well as Tom Tykwer, and he is the director of Run Lola Run. Also a few other movies, one that I know called Hologram for a King, or The King, which I did not like at all. I watched it maybe like 5, 6 years ago, so I guess I was quite younger, but it just didn't resonate with me whatsoever. But Run Lola Run, I do have a lot of history with because when I went to film school in first year, one of the first classes that I ever took, it was just like an introduction to film studies, and our teacher was obsessed with Run Lola Run. We watched it in full, like at least 4 times during class hours, just to analyze it, reanalyze it. He plays back so many clips of it. I think he had a tattoo of it as well, and it just like kind of got into a meme status between my program, everyone in the program. But if I hadn't analyzed it so much in class and like got too overexposed to it, stepping back, it is a very good movie. Run Lola Run is an awesome movie. I really did like it. It's very stylistic, and so it's a cool combination of directors that I did not know were intertwined, and of course the Wachowskis with The Matrix, now a quadrilogy. Didn't really care for the second, third, or fourth, really. But fourth one was weird. Had some cool moments, but not the hugest fan. The beginning ideas of like at the beginning, it took a very meta turn of the Matrix Resurrection, and I dug it because they were being so bold. But then halfway through, they just scrapped it and went back to their old shtick from the second and third one that just like they thought people liked it more than people did. And so the new was kind of what I was looking for, but there was just a lot of the old. If that makes any sense. Me being vague, not to try to give away too many spoilers for Matrix Resurrections. But alas. Wachowski, Speed Racer, Jupiter Ascending as well. A classic. But they also did do Cloud Atlas. And it was made on a $102 million budget, which is crazy. And it grossed worldwide, what it said on IMDb was $130 million. So, hey, it made a lot of money. And I don't remember it. I mean, I was 12 at the time back in 2012, but I don't remember when it came out, hearing any hype about it. Of course, because I was 12, but apparently when it came out, it was like at TIFF and some festivals, and apparently it was quite highly anticipated, of course, based on the book as well, which is very interesting. But it's just one of the landmark movies in the sci-fi genre that for some reason I have not been exposed to whatsoever. This and like Stargate, when I did Stargate, I barely knew anything about them. And I was like, wow, I didn't know they were as big as they actually are. But alas, so yeah, Cloud Atlas. I think the best way to talk about Cloud Atlas is to go through the different stories piece by piece and kind of see the intertwinedness between everything. So I found this graphic. It was just on Pinterest, but it kind of helps the guiding of everything. So Cloud Atlas, everything is connected. So I see they made this legend here. So it has some dots if they're soulmates, has some lines if they're family members or spouse. And there's just like a few notes here that are down, and they're pretty cool. What does this even say? Rewind. The button's first stolen from adding Ewing's. Oh, right. Yeah, the button. I almost forgot about that. There's so many like pieces of imagery in this movie that like the button kind of like flew over my head after recollecting the movie as a whole. Okay, so the first few batch of characters here. We have... I need to remember all the actors' names now. Okay, so who's this one? This one is Jim Sturgis. He's like a young, handsome British actor. I kind of like, is it Ben Whishaw, James Darcy, Jim Sturgis? That one's Jim Sturgis, yes. So we got Jim Sturgis as the protagonist of this story. So honestly, I don't remember why he went on the boat in the first place. Maybe he was like returning home. I know he was talking to... So one of the first scenes when everything's being narrated, he's talking to Tom Hanks' character, Dr. Henry Goose. And they're on the beach for some reason. He's like, oh, these teeth are worth so much money. I was like, okay, cool. But alas, yeah, so they're on the boat in this one. And I'm pretty sure, who else is in this one? This graphic doesn't show all the characters. I'm going to see if I can find another decent graphic here. Just hold up once. Maybe a nice accompanying graphic. Because there's some that show all the characters and which ones they're in as well. Ooh, this one might be pretty good. All right, let's see how this one fares. Let's see. Oh, no, don't want to print it. Accidentally pressed Control P. Zoom in just a bit here. Okay, so we have all Tom Hanks characters. Oh, here. So just on the left. So if we look on the left here, does it say the actors' names? No, I don't think it does. Okay. So I'm having trouble remembering all of them, honestly. There's just so many characters to keep track of. Okay, we'll start with Adam Ewing. So Adam Ewing is sailing, and he has a journal that he keeps writing in, and he starts to get sick. He's kind of the main just like focus on this. A lot of these other people really aren't as necessary. And honestly, every time I see what's his face, Hugo Weaving and Hugh Grant, I'm just like, I forget who's who. They're just the same person. Let's be honest. They're the same. So, okay, stepping back. Adam Ewing, sailing, gets sick. And so he makes this journal because he thinks he's going to like die on this boat. He's not going to see his wife again. But instead, the turn is that Dr. Henry Goose is secretly poisoning him. And in his revealing monologue, as all villains do, he says, oh, it's really deceptively simple. I just wanted to kill you for your money. But as this is going, on the ship, there is a stowaway. And so Adam Ewing befriends this stowaway while he's sick in the lower compartment of the ship and tries to convince the crew that the stowaway can be a good worker and that they shouldn't kill him. And so they kind of like give him a test. He's like, oh, lower the sails and everything. But as he's lowering the sails, he's like pointing his gun at him. And then I think it was Adam Ewing. Yeah, he hits the gun. And so it misses. And when he gets down, they're like, hey, you got the job, which is weird because it's like he shoots him and he was going to kill him. But because he missed, he's like, oh, you know what? All good. You got the job. So there's that. But I did like that one. It's just a pretty straightforward, simple story with a good twist. I really did like the twist of the doctor poisoning him. And in the end, he goes back to his wife, Tilda, and he tells his dad, hey, your business is horrible. You're a racist guy, so yeah, stick it to him. But hey, I did like that one quite a bit. Again, probably because it was one of the more simple ones. And this next one, Robert Frobisher, I also did like as well, quite a bit. And also, these ones on the very left are the ones who had the comet birthmark. And we'll get into what that means a bit later after we just discuss each of the timelines first. So this next one, I think it might be my favorite one. It is the most I don't want to say pretentious, but high class out of all of them. So you have Robert Frobisher, and he is in love with Rufus Sixsmith, and they're in bed together, and then somebody comes knocking on the door for Robert Frobisher. He's like, oh, gotta bounce, gotta meet my new music mentor. And then he bounces through the window, and it's like, they're expecting you to be in that room, not Rufus Sixsmith. So why are you leaving? They're still going to find him in the bed and be like, yo, what's up? Why is this happening? But I guess he just wants to avoid them, whatever. So he goes and he finds Vivian Ayers, a acclaimed musician, and he's kind of just one of the famous figures where it's like they're actually just a dick behind the scenes. Tries to steal all of his work and blackmail him when he tries to compose his own stuff. And so, yeah, we have Vivian Ayers, played by Jim Broadbent. And then after that, there's Jocasta Ayers. And that's Halle Berry. So this is one of the... In this movie, they do a lot of mixing with the characters, whether it be races and genders and ages at the same time, which can be interesting and can be problematic at the same time. This one, honestly, I did not recognize as Halle Berry. I did not recognize her. A lot of the ones were pretty recognizable. Sometimes the effects weren't the best, but I did not recognize her. I'll be honest. And let's see. Let's look at this other map here. So in the second one here, you have, hotel manager. I think we all knew that was Tom Hanks. And he's other... Poor Hotel Guest by Jim Sturgis. Okay, sure. He's just probably a nothing one in that one, really. Okay. All the ones here are really the main important ones. Kesselring. I don't even remember what he did in this one. I'll be honest as well. Alas. Robert Frobisher. I just like the simplicity of this one and the ending of it because, it is a love story between these two guys. I think Frobisher was a bit, clueless in the way that he's writing these letters. He's writing these letters, blah, blah, blah. He's writing these letters, and he's making them sound like he doesn't realize that his absence is having such a big effect on Rufus. He's writing these letters like... Oh, there was a line in the trailer that I just watched, and it was like something like a doomed love affair. Oh yeah, the letters that he's reading from Adam Ewing. He's like, oh, something. It's so cool because it's like a story that is half finished, like a unfinished love affair, and then it pans back to Rufus, and it's like, dude, do you not realize you're just writing a metaphor for a doomed love affair to your lover who you're probably never going to see again? How's that they going to make them feel? Like, he just seems like he doesn't really have any concern for Rufus's feelings, so I kind of side with Rufus here. I'm a big Rufus fan. Frobisher, bit clueless, bit of an airhead, but hey, he's a musician, and he's kind of a hunk, so, Ben Whishaw, cool dude, attractive dude, and he's great. I love Ben Whishaw. He's great in, all the James Bond, stuff like that. So I did like that one quite a bit. And it says here, Vivian Ayers hears and tries to steal the credit to the Cloud Atlas Sextet from his apprentice, Robert Frobisher. Wow, thank you. Convenient plot writing. So in the end of this one, we have Robert Frobisher killing Vivian Ayers accidentally. Oh, you're not going to shoot me. If you leave now and release your own stuff, I have all the insides and you're never going to... Nobody's ever going to like it because I'm going to tell them all to hate you. And then he kills him. And he gets away. But then he ends up killing himself. He's very much like... In me saying that he's clueless about his lover, he is also an airhead in the way that his writing is very pretentious, that he seems so calm about everything in his letters that even when he goes to kill himself, he seems so calm and up his ass in his own thinking that he thinks it's the right thing to do. And it's kind of just an interesting character study based on his relationship and how he treats Rufus with his writing and his goals in life, trying to be a musician, and the way he kills himself at the end. He's making him to seem like he's all good because he's so calm with everything, but really, like, he's such an interesting character because of the way he acts. And I think this one just felt like there was a lot more subtext in this certain story, which I really did dig. A lot of the writing was very clever in this one, and the music, of course, was beautiful. And then in this one, Vivian kind of alludes. There's a lot of allusions and just direct connections to other stories. He said, of course, he had a dream of the Cloud Atlas Sextet, which ended up Robert Frobisher just saying, oh, you probably just heard it while I was playing it, while you were sleeping or something like that. But then he also alluded that he had a dream of the futuristic restaurant from one of the other stories, from the Somni 451 story, the Somni 451, what's this one? Neo Soul. So got some connections there. And so on to the next one. We have the letters from Frobisher to Rufus are constantly being read in 1973 by Louisa Ray, played by Halle Berry. And so this is one of the ones where we have a continuous character. We have Rufus Sixsmith, who is directly in this one as an older man, and I think the makeup for this one was quite good, to be honest. And so after she is reading all of this stuff, all these letters, I just blanked for a second. After she reads all these letters, she conveniently is in an elevator with Rufus Sixsmith. And in this elevator, they just like get stuck in the elevator. He tells her his life story, vice versa. Well, he doesn't directly say it, but he kind of like, what did he exactly say? He kind of just alluded to it. I'm trying to just remember what they said in the elevator, and I'm blanking. I might just be talking out of my ass. But then, yeah, he's like, oh, yeah, call me, and we can, like, you can, like, look into stuff. And then it goes on this whole thing where she's trying to expose somebody. Man, I don't remember this one very well. I'll be honest. Okay, so the whole thing with Rufus is like kind of a side thing because Lloyd Hooks is the like CEO of this, what is it? A nuclear facility. And she discovers somehow through Rufus Sixsmith that this facility is doomed to fail because they want it to fail and cause mass destruction. And so as she's discovering this, she meets Isaac Sachs, played by Tom Hanks. And if you see by these dots, apparently they're soulmates. Because we have that narration from Isaac saying, I just knew from the moment I opened that door that I loved her. I love Louisa Ray. It's my Tom Hanks impression. Don't know how good it was. And then he dies in an airplane, which was, honestly, I kind of expected that. It was like, okay, you're going in an airplane. Yeah, it's going to blow up. Yeah, and so as she's trying to crack down on the entire case, she gets into the river. He gets blown up, gets chased by Bill Smoke. Great name. Here, let me see if there's any other characters we should know about here. Bill Smoke, Megan's dad. Oh, Bae Donna plays Megan's mom and Mexican woman. Right, she plays a Mexican woman in this, Bae Donna. And this was as well one of them where I was like, I did not recognize her. I knew there was something off looking about her. But yeah, didn't realize it was her for a sec. And, oh yeah, you also have Joe Napier, played by Keith David. He was great. Really liked him. Hanging out with Louisa Ray often. The entire plot of this one, it's like, of course, it's like the spy kind of action-y one. And all of those always have this complicated plot about, like, the end of the world and they have to stop things or whatever. And so it was a little complicated, honestly. Can't say I 100% remember everything that happened in it. But I did like a lot of the interactions, especially with, yeah, Keith David's character and Louisa Ray. And, yeah, liked it. Okay, so after that, we have, I believe, is this a book that it's saying? The Half-Lives of Louisa Ray, which, why did Timothy Cavendish know about it? Oh, so it was something about a book. And so at the beginning of this one, this feels like a completely different. So you have like the escape that Timothy Cavendish is trying to do with his buddies. But then at the very beginning, it's like the exact same story. It felt so different when we have Dermot Hoggins and his book, The Knuckle Sandwich. Tom Hanks just throwing slurs left and right, just swearing up a storm. And then throwing a guy off a roof. And then just getting put in prison. Then all the thugs are going after Timothy Cavendish. And then his brother, Denholm, puts him in this retire home, says it's a hotel there that he can escape from all the thugs, but it's actually just a like prison-esque hotel. Sorry, prison-esque like old folks home where they won't let him leave, so he has to make a great escape with all of his buddies. Let's see. Do we have any other buddies in this one? No, none of the other buddies were really notable characters, but they were great. I really, really love the supporting cast in this one. This one just felt like I just watched The Duke with Jim Broadbent, and it kind of felt like that kind of humor. And so I really did like this one quite a lot as well. And so some of the notes here it says, rewind, Vivian Ayres tries to imprison young Frobisher in 1931. Ayres, reincarnated as Timothy Cavendish, finds himself imprisoned in the same mansion. Okay. That's an interesting note because we'll talk about it later with the birthmark as well as the reincarnations. Okay, that's interesting. We'll get back to this. Well, highlight this one in your mind. Footnote. We'll get back to this and talk about it in a sec. Okay, other one. Timothy Cavendish has the sextet playing in the background at a party. Cool. So yeah, I really did like this one. Tom Hanks was so weird in this one. He had a weird accent. It was fun. And this one, Hugo Weaving as the nurse, looked pretty horrible. I'll say it. But in the end, this was just such a feel-good, absolutely nothing wrong with the story. And it was great. And Halle Berry's character apparently is called Indian Party Guest. Oh boy. Yeah, a lot of race swapping here. Little problematic. Okay, so now in 2144, Neo Soul. This one, again, continuing the kind of problematic makeup and the race swapping. Everyone's supposed to be Korean, but the majority of the cast are just white people with this weird eye makeup, and it's like pretty horrible. There was a few controversy, like a bit of controversy that I read online, and a few articles just stating how racist it is with all of these different race swaps and everything in this movie, just in general, not just with the Neo Soul, even though that was kind of a highlight of it. And I won't touch on it too much, but it's like, I understand with the reincarnation and having all these characters reoccurring and what that represents in each story, and it is a very cool concept. It's just like, it's hard to get around it. I don't think they had bad intent, of course. Most filmmakers don't. But it is a bit tasteless, and it's like the fact that there's only a few actual Asian actors in the movie. It's like you could have gone a little more above and beyond and cast people in Neo Soul as more Asian actors. But again, I do like the reincarnation aspect, having the same characters play so many different characters and making it feel more worldly rather than we're just focusing on like American or just white culture in this entire saga that's supposed to be so much about humanity and the world in general. But yeah, that's all I'll say. But okay, so Neo Soul, I did like this one. This is kind of the more in-your-face sci-fi kind of, you think of this one when it's marketed. These last two, of course, very much sci-fi. So in this one, the vague connection, which isn't really as crazy as some of the other ones, the ghastly ordeal of Timothy Cavendish was made into a movie that Haiju shows Somni. I don't know why. They made this into a movie, and really it's like, this is the groundbreaking movie that you still talk about in 2144. Like, it was a lot of fun, this last one, with Timothy Cavendish. But there's no chance that if this movie was made, The Ghastly Ordeal of Timothy Cavendish, that in 100 years we're citing this as one of the most influential pieces of cinema just based on the content alone. It's just funny that this is the type of movie that they show her. Maybe it could be a great movie, you know, anything has great potential, but it's just funny. Okay, so other connections we have here. The shape of Adam Ewing's cabin under the deck of the ship was recreated throughout. Timothy Cavendish's office, Louisa Ray's apartment, Robert Frobisher's room, and Ayers' mansion, Somni 451 safe house, and Zachary's hut. The shape of Adam Ewing's cabin. Huh. You know what that means? They reuse the set. I mean, it could be symbolic and cost-effective at the same time. That's funny, though. Reappearing elements such as trains and bridges figure in Robert Frobisher, Timothy Cavendish's, and Louisa Ray's and Zachary's storylines. Okay. Egg-shaped objects also reoccur, from the toys in the factory that Louisa Ray runs through in San Francisco to Ceres restaurant seats at the recording device. Ceres restaurant seats and the recording device of Somni 451's archivist. All right. Another list of random images if this movie didn't have enough images and just, themes throughout the movie. There's just a lot to dig with this movie, which I'm curious of how much of the story from the novel it took from. Because, seems like a very detailed source material. Okay. On to Neo Soul. So this one, I really did dig as well, of course. Loving my sci-fi storylines. So we have somebody 451 who's working at a restaurant, and she's kind of like this replicant. I forget exactly what they call them. They didn't call them replicants, but they called them, not prosthetics. They called them something like replicant. I might just say replicant. And so her friend at the restaurant is like, hey, we don't actually have to just be waitresses our whole lives, and we can, like, rebel. And so they try to rebel, and after they like, watch this clip of Tom Hanks saying, I will not stand the Cavendish line. I forget what it was. But he says some line, and then she's inspired by it. And then her friend, here, let me see if it's in here. Did they add her friend in this? So we have, Yuna. There we go. It is down here. Okay, Yuna rebels when one day she's working at the restaurant and these guys explode some condiments on her back in a sexual manner, and she gets fed up. And so she, like, punches him, I'm pretty sure, starts to walk out. But then the restaurant owner comes in, boardman Mephi, presses a button, and her collar on his neck just absolutely obliterates her. And so Somni sees that, and she's like, damn, that's crazy. And so one day, she's snooping around. She sees the boardman just, like, having sex with one of the replicants. And then Haiju comes in and just, like, murks him. Absolutely kills him. And it's like, hey, escape with me, Somni. And she's like, all right, I'll go with you, Jim Sturgis. And so they go, and they talk about this rebellion that he's forming against the government. And so they hang out in this just apartment for a while, watch this Timothy Cavendish movie, get her necklace surgically removed so they can't just destroy her on command. And there was a lot of characters in this one, and like I said before, some of the race swapping is a bit weird when you have, just the makeup, and you have Jim Broadbent playing Korean musician. This one, though, like, I did not know that was Halle Berry again. Ovid, I had no clue that was Halle Berry. Absolutely no clue. But alas, Neo Soul one, the chases, there were a lot of chases. I started that off like I had something to say about the chases, but, like, they were fine. They were decently entertaining. Felt very, of course, like Matrix-y with a bit of Speed Racer in there. I do like the look of the roads and everything. It was pretty fun. It was just a lot of chases, and, like, Haiju falls at one time. It's like, no way he's surviving that. It did feel like they're going for, like, such distinct genres in some of these stories. This one felt very distinctly sci-fi. And I don't want to say to a fault, but, like, they tried to so hammer in that this is, like, such a classical sci-fi story that they're not going for anything more than just some of the typical sci-fi isms, if that makes sense. So it's very straightforward sci-fi, but I feel like they meant to do that because it's supposed to be the sci-fi section. And so, like I feel with many of these stories, if these stories were put by themselves, they don't work. They're interesting, maybe shorts, but you could not make a feature-length story of like most of these stories. And I think especially just the content that you get in this one. But the fact that it is played with all of these other stories, it makes so much more sense. And it works so well with what sci-fi elements it has in it. And so you have the story ending up, Somni, as they're holding this door and everybody's getting destroyed below her. She gives this great speech about how you are not your oh man, I really should look up this quote. Let me look up this quote here. It actually is a really good quote. I do like her speech quite a bit. Somni quote Cloud Atlas. All right, so what quote do we got here? So, oh yeah, she says, our lives are not our own. From womb to tomb, we are bound to others, past and present, and by each crime and every kindness, we birth our future. And then what else we got here? Any other good, how that quote went on quite a long time. It was just a monologue. To be perceived and so to know thyself is only possible through the eyes of the other. The nature of our immortal lives is in the consequence of our words and deeds that go on appropriating themselves throughout all time. Her monologue just had a lot of deep lines that hit. They just hit. Especially like, to know thyself is only possible through the eyes of the other. So many of these stories throughout the entirety of Cloud Atlas are about people's legacies. Because they're not continuations, there's always something from the previous story that links into this one. And so because you have all of these small links, even if it's small, like the making of the movie of the ghastly ordeal of Timothy Cavendish, to something as big as Rufus Sixsmith directly being involved with Louis Souret, who has read all these letters from Frobisher. If this Adam Ewing interaction didn't happen, this story didn't happen, it wouldn't have butterflied effect down into the very last one with Zachary here. And so, all of these people, all of their lives, and like she says here, the nature of our immortal lives is in the consequence of our words and deeds that go on appropriating themselves through all time. It's one of those sentiments of the legacy of a person keeps them alive. And all these characters have the legacy that is propelled through time. And also another quote that she says, yeah, from womb to tomb, we are bound to others. Our lives are not our own, right? They lived their life once, and then so many other people have been impacted by her life. She doesn't decide what they think about her anymore. That's for them to choose. And thus, her life is not her own anymore. There's a lot of good quotes in here. I really dig that. And yeah, I think the trailer, would highly recommend watching it. It kind of just like takes a lot of these heightened feelings in that short trailer with the music and everything. Yeah, it was quite an event. Yeah, so she has her big speech at the end with all this stuff. It's like, yeah, don't hold us replicants hostage and stuff. That's not cool. So yeah, we got that. And then we go down here to the last one with Zachary in 2346. And we have Zachary and his, I don't want to say post-apocalyptic, just like futuristic, I don't know what the word is. Because usually the word would be like prehistoric, but it's post-historic. Survivalist era. When they have these, yeah, we have Miriam coming down from their sci-fi clan and whatever, trying to send this beacon out to whoever, and Zachary just living off the land with his family, having trouble with some renegades, I guess I'll call them. But alas. So we have Zachary hanging out with his family and then meets Miriam. They are soulmates, as it indicates here with these dotted line. So they go find this thing, and this whole time he has old Georgie over his shoulder telling him just sweet little lies this whole time. Oh, can you trust her? Oh, you should kill her now. She goes against everything you guys believe in, blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, they go to this top of this mountain because he's like, okay, if you help heal this one girl. She's like, oh no, I'm sent here strictly for this. I'm not here to interact with all you guys. But then, yeah, they end up saving her, which is very cool. And so as they're up there, the whole town gets massacred. Very Star Wars-esque. Very Luke Skywalker-esque. But then they go with the sci-fi people, and it's all hunky-dory. But I did like this one as well. I do like kind of like futuristic-y, rugged, kind of more down-to-earth stuff that isn't strictly just super high sci-fi, high-tech, which is cool. Has a mix of it, but I did like the more down-to-earth stuff. So we have some notes here. We have, in the first story, Dr. Henry Goose is seen digging up teeth on the island beach. Later, in the final story, Zachary lives on an island 160 years post the fall of civilization. Why is that important? It would be more, I thought it was going to say, like, he found a tooth. And I was like, oh, I don't remember that. But he didn't. It was just like, islands are another image. Okay, cool. Significance of 6. 6 narratives, yep. 6 time periods, that comes with 6 narratives, yeah. Tom Hanks, Halle Berry, Hugo Weaving, Hugh Grant each play 6 characters. Sextet is a formation containing exactly 6 numbers. Got it. Rufus Sixsmith has 6 in his name. He is 66 years old when he's in at 1975. The final story takes 106 years after the fall of civilization. Okay, that one's a bit of a stretch. But okay, I get it. 6. I think we all got that with the Cloud Atlas sextet. But, you know. So, yeah, there we have it. That is the, Oh, I didn't even know it was on Hawaii. It says here. I did not put that together. But, yeah, and then you have also, yeah, Rose, played by Donna Bay. I did not know that was Donna Bay for that way. Or Bay Donna. But, yeah, that is kind of Cloud Atlas as a whole throughout the storyline. So I just wanted to touch a bit on just the interconnectedness and kind of how that works for everything. So I respect this movie so much because I do love the ambition and the ideas that it comes with. So the weird thing is that you have all of these actors playing the same character, or not same character, sorry. All these actors in these different narratives playing different characters in each of them. But you also have, on the left side indicated, the very leftmost person, they all have a comet birthmark. And apparently in the book it was Miriam who had the birthmark, not Zachary. But okay, had to give Tom Hanks at least one, you know. So, with this birthmark, what does it say here? The birthmark can be seen in all 6... Oh, that's all it says. Okay. You have these ideas of reincarnation and a soul... Yeah, reincarnation, souls going to different people, of course, things like that. And with that, you would think that the comet birthmark might be one of those things that connects it all. But then you also add in the element of the different characters played by the same actors being the reincarnation of their previous characters. And if you're going by the comet birthmark idea, all of our protagonists are clearly morally good people. And some of the you could connect all of their values. Whereas if you're going by the logic of the same actor is a reincarnation of the same actor's portrayal of somebody else in the past, you can't really make that connection because Tom Hanks goes flippity-floppity quite often. He's like pretty freaking evil in this first one. In this second one, he's like barely anything, right? In the second one, he is a hotel manager. The third one, he's Isaac Sachs. good guy. This last one, he's Dermot Hoggins, who throws a man off a building because he doesn't like his criticism. So I think with this, I like the Comet birthmark representation of this morally good soul. And it kind of says, it's a weird look on just like souls passing through time because you're defining them as strictly good and evil, which maybe is a flaw and a justification at the same time. And if we're looking them as the actors, their souls being different, their souls going to their different characters, it's like, what is the purpose of that? Because if you have this one soul with the Comet birthmark going throughout time, we see their morally good journey and how each of their stories are connected. And if we're going with the character idea, the actors, what journey are they going on? Are they just showing the vast differences of reincarnation? You could be a dick in one life and then be just like Earth's savior if you're reincarnated as Somni. And like I said before, what was I going to go back to? I said, hold the thought. Which one did I say hold the thought for? Oh, God, I forget. Oh, here. Again, this is just a graphic. This isn't anything official. I just found this on Pinterest. It says, Vivian Ayres tries to imprison young Frobisher in 1931. Ayres, reincarnated as Timothy Cavendish, so they're saying the characters are the ones that are being reincarnated, finds himself imprisoned in the same mansion in 2012. Okay. Now I'm rethinking things. Because if we're going by the character idea now, then you would be able to say that in their next lives, they're being judged for what they did in their previous one. And so is there some connections you could find there? Who knows? You have him being judged. Who's a bad guy here? You have the nurse, and then next he's another bad guy. Then after that, another bad guy. Hugo Weaving's just a bad guy. Moral of the story, Hugo Weaving's a dick. Yeah, he plays a bad guy in like all of them. Dr. Henry Goose. So he's killing this guy for his money in this one. And in this one, he's a hotel manager. He's being punished by working a crappy job. I don't know. All this to say, like, these ideas and looking into these different elements and inspecting how they could be connected is very interesting. And this is just like a definitive anthology movie out of not many that I can name in general. It's just like, it's anthology done right on such a high budget, and it just is woven together quite beautifully, in my opinion. And yeah, it is a lot about just stories. And if we're just disregarding like the whole reincarnation, everything on itself, if you had different actors for every single story, the butterfly effect of all these stories and just their legacy and their lives and all these quotes that just have everything pulled together. Like I mentioned that quote by Somni, and there's just so many other quotes as well in the movie that just have so much meaning to the entire narrative that they'll say it in one of the stories, and it just connects so much with the other. Because yeah, I've just been talking about all these different characters and just the logistics of everything, just the entire production of this music going through all of these stories, also being something that one of the characters made, is incredible. The editing is like, again, along with the story being so like distinct and so, what's the word I'm looking for? So ambitious. That's the word I was looking for. Along with the story being so ambitious, the editing is so ambitious, and I think it hits. I think that it definitely might not be for everybody, but I think that the editing is just something so unique, and they cut between each story when they're hitting similar story beats. And you would think that, like, they instead of doing each story one by one, the interwovenness, I think, because they hit the same story beats every time, you're not just having like a chase scene and then like just some really sad scene right after. It's always like it matches the energy and the way the cuts are made and just the stories are structured. It's just like it's a masterclass in writing and editing and just putting it all together. And just, yeah, the fact that this movie is made is just crazy. The entire production is just huge, huge props. And I'm just very happy that this movie is made. It's not the most perfect movie out there, but I just think it's an epic. It's so grand. It's so ambitious. It's so many different genres at the same time. It's just I really, really loved it. And the more I think about it, the more I like it. It's one of those movies where you could think about for a long time and still not get any definitive answers. And so to end off, I'm just going to look at a few more of the quotes and see if I can derive anything from those. So, oh yeah, I had the one quote from Adam Ewing where he says, "What is an ocean but a multitude of drops?" After you have Hugo Weaving's character be like, "Oh, there's a natural order to this world." And then you'll never amount more than a single drop. And then he drops that line. Boom, in your face. That's a great one. And it's true. Again, that just speaks to like souls in the world of how like you're just one drop in an ocean, but still the ripple effect that one person, that one drop can have to everything is monumental. And it's just showing the importance of every human soul. Yeah, great quote there. What else do we have here? Oh yeah, I barely even talked about how in the Somni story you have it kind of intercutting as well with the archivist kind of interviewing Somni about what happened. And she's just so cool about everything and being like, yeah, we escaped. Yeah, I totally committed all these crimes. And just, oh, what's your quote at the end? Where she's like, "So do you really think you're going to convince anybody?" And then she's like, "Oh, I think I convinced one person," being like the guy who's interviewing her. And she's like, damn, she really did get him on that one. I'll say it. I don't see where that quote is here, but I'm just looking at some IMDb quotes here. What else do we have here? So Robert Frobisher, "I believe we do not stay dead long. Find me beneath the Corsican stars where we first kissed. Yours eternally, Robert Frobisher." Yeah. Just talking about reincarnation and everything. What else we got here? Oh yeah, here. "What if no one believes this truth? Someone already does." Damn. That one hits too. Somni, just, man, a lot of hits. I understand why in Zachary's story they worshipped her. She had a lot of good zingers. I'll say it. What else we got here? We got, Isaac Sachs. Isaac Sachs is like Tom Hanks' kind of side role. Louisa Ray is just so much more important, as well as Rufus Sixsmith. But he just has this huge monologue after he meets her being like, yeah, I love her. She's crazy. And then, yeah, so what do you say here? "Belief, like fear and love, is a force to be understood as we understand the theory of relativity and principles of uncertainty, phenomenon that determine the course of our lives. Yesterday I was heading to one direction, today is heading another, blah, blah, blah. Quantum trajectories. At a point of each intersection, each encounter suggests new potential direction." Yeah, butterfly effect, infinite timelines, deep, deep thoughts from Isaac Sachs. Poor guy, died in an airplane. What else we got here? Anything else good? It is the Timothy Cavendish line. Okay, you know what? I get why it's considered a great in the universe of Cloud Atlas. 2 sprained ankles, 1 cracked rib. Official cause of accident listed on the hospital form, pussy. Because he had the cat held in front of his crotch to hide it, and he falls out a window. Legendary. This movie just makes me smile. I did like it a lot, and would highly recommend it. Highly recommend Cloud Atlas. But yeah, that's about going to do it for me on Cloud Atlas today. And so, just for next week we're going to be talking about, let me find it here, the 2003 movie. Where did it go? I had it. Right here. 2003 movie by one of my main men, Kiyoshi Kurosawa. I did do a Kiyoshi Kurosawa movie already. I think this is the first repeat that I'm doing, but I just want to watch all of his movies. I've seen 4 of them now. Really loved all of them. Cure, of course. Cure and Pulse are just so top tier, incredibly top tier, that I'm just going to watch so many of his stuff soon. So, yeah, Doppelganger is going to be for next week. Next week is July 11th. So, yeah, July 11th at 7 p.m. Be here at the Film Spot, where we talk about Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Doppelganger.